right. Hey, everybody. My name is Michael Music, and the conversation that I wanted to have today was around organized planning. So, this comes, interestingly enough, after the chapter on imagination. And I didn't realize this before, but each one of these principles, it sort of weaves into one another. And I really found it fascinating. So, if you think about it, we use the imagination as the middleman, right? We have a desire and we use our imagination to build the plan, right? I always thought of the imagination as just some, obviously it's very important to this philosophy, but I always thought of it as like, how did it get wound into this journey of converting the desire into the material substance or the material thing? And it's actually really interesting because if you think about each one of these principles, right, starts as desire, you believe in it, further that belief through the law of autosuggestion. Specialized knowledge, I'm still finding my place for specialized knowledge, but you do need to, of course, specialize in that knowledge of what it is that you want. And then after that, right, so let me rephrase. It goes desire, you believe in it, you further that belief through autosuggestion, you specialize in that field, and then you use your imagination to create the plans. Okay, and here we are now in creating the plans, which is the crystallization of desire into action. Okay, so what we're doing here, or what we're talking about right now, is we're talking about how do we take effective action, but we got to take a step back. What is our plan to take that effective action? So I just found that fascinating. It was something I found out this morning that really stuck out to me, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So with that being said, there's only a few pages I did want to read, and I'm only going to read what I underlined because I don't want to just read this book. So he says, organized planning, the crystallization of desire into action, the sixth step toward riches. Okay, now he says, you have learned that everything man creates or acquires begins in the form of desire. Okay, now this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey from the abstract to the concrete into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. All right, so if you think about it, we're literally through this talking about how something is going on its journey from the abstract to the real thing. Because let's face it, what it is that we want doesn't matter until it's real, until it's become in the physical. And I'm not saying like what you want doesn't matter. I'm saying, it has no real substance until we actually convert that desire into its physical equivalent. Now he says in chapter 2, you are instructed to take 6 definite practical steps as your first move in translating the desire for money into its monetary equivalent. One of these steps is the formation of a definite practical plan or plans through which this transformation may be made. Okay, now this is key because we talked about creating a goal card and becoming emotionally involved in that goal card every morning and every night. But one thing for me that I've been leaving out is, okay, do I understand or have formed definite plans for the accumulation of this desire? And that's what we're getting into today. So why do I read this book so often? Because every time I go through it, I realize, okay, there's still more that I could be doing with this philosophy, right? This is an instruction book for how to get rich. And yes, I read it, yes, I spoke about it multiple times, but did I actually take action on it? Or do I truly understand what he's saying here? Okay, you will now be instructed how to build plans which will be practical via A, Ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation of carrying out your plan or plans for the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in a later chapter. Okay, now he says in parentheses, compliance with this instruction is absolutely essential. Do not neglect it. Okay, so the question is, who is in your mastermind alliance? He says this is not something that you can skip over. If you are trying to get rich by yourself, right, then you are missing a key principle in this philosophy, in this book. Okay, you need others. So who do you want in your mastermind? And if you don't yet have a mastermind, that's okay, right? The reason you keep thinking and reading about this book is because, eventually you will get to a point where you fall into a mastermind alliance, whether it's with like a sales manager or, people in your company that you work for, or maybe you just stumbled upon a mastermind alliance through networking, right? It's going to come, right? It's when it comes, it's like, how did I just fall into this? But it's gonna come. Okay, now he says before. Now this is step B. Before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. No intelligent person will either request or expect another to work without adequate compensation, although this may not always be in the form of money. So I never really thought about this step, right? What am I given to the mastermind group, right? What is the value of having me a part of the mastermind as much as valuable as it is a part of having, certain individuals in my mastermind group. Now it says arrange to meet with the members of your mastermind group at least twice a week and more often if possible until you have jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans for the accumulation of money. Okay. If you don't have a mastermind group, right? That's okay. This will come. These steps. So for me, this is like my personal journey in reading Think and Grow Rich. I realized, okay, I have a mastermind group, right? I have an incredible mentor that I look up to, but I'm taking it for granted. And am I really stepping up and showing up to the mastermind at least twice a week, right? I'm falling out of harmony with him. Now he says to maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. Okay, now let me read this again. He says, maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. And if you fail to carry out this instruction, you can expect to meet with failure. Okay, so what does that mean? What does that look like? Perfect harmony with your mastermind group. Interesting. Now, I don't have, much of an answer for that sentence because I truthfully have not been maintaining perfect harmony with my mastermind group. But that's why I keep reading this book because I realize, okay, let's make the shift, right? It's not that hard to get back into things. Okay, now he says first, you are engaged in an undertaking of major importance to you. To be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Second, you must have the advantage of the experience, education, native ability, and imagination of other minds. This is in harmony with the methods followed by every person who has accumulated a great fortune. Okay, let's read that again. All right, so what you wrote on your goal, right? It's important, right? Whether it seems like it or not, whether it seems like it's just an index card with words on it right now, or if it feels as real as your skin right now. At the end of the day, it's of major importance. And the more repetition that you go through this, the more you will actually value it. Now, he says to be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Okay. So we're going to talk about, I guess I'll get to it later. I'm gonna preview just a couple sentences that I want to talk about because this is really good stuff, right? If you are experiencing temporary defeat, it is because you don't yet have sound plans. Now, we'll read again, right, on the same page, but he's saying that, if your plans aren't sound and you do experience temporary defeat, what you want to do is you want to apply the principle of persistence in creating and following new plans. Okay, so when I first started on my journey, I started with a painting business where I started going door to door, and I can't say that I succeeded in that business, but at the end of the day, I had a plan and I followed it. I experienced temporary defeat, realized, okay, I need new plans in place so that I can get to where I want to be. All right. And then, furthermore, I developed new plans. I sold life insurance throughout college, right? Followed, my mentor's guidance with that, experienced temporary defeat again, didn't quite work out. Okay, that plan didn't work, but it's not like I'm stopping because boom, I get new plans. Right now, I'm selling software and I'm reaching a little bit of success, but I'm hitting a cap. So now I'm thinking, okay, what new plans do I need in place so I can get to the next level? And then I just got involved in e-commerce and selling on Etsy and Shopify. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm not saying I've been the best at this, but I'm looking to create sound plans in place. And truthfully, the best way that I've found to find sound plans is to find someone who already has what you want because they have a plan in place that got them there. And that's what's cool about following a mentor. So that's just my thoughts there. Now let me read um, what Napoleon Hill says because I want to read it in his words. So I underlined this. He said, no individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Okay. So now he's emphasizing again the importance of the mastermind principle. He said you may create your own plans in whole or in part, but check out with your mastermind group that those plans are approved by the members of your mastermind because you may have the worst plan ever and they may be able to keep you in check. Be like, okay, yo, Mike, like your plan, you got to tweak it this way and run with that. So that's an interesting thought. He said, if the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it in turn with still another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. All right. So this is the persistence, right? Underline the word persistence here. He said, right here is the point at which the majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. Okay. So, so that's the key, right? Most people that do become successful, a lot of people look at them like, oh, you're an overnight success. Like, how'd you come up with the plans? They don't see that they've been working on a plan all these years, right? One plan failed, followed it, didn't met with temporary defeat. Okay, new plan failed, followed that. Maybe I met with some success, but temporary defeat. New plan in place. This is so important. I used to really glance over this chapter because it was so long, and I was like, "Damn, there's no way I'm going to understand this chapter." Going through it a third time, I realized this is so critical, right? You don't take action without a plan, or else you're just taking action, and it's like, okay, how are you truly going to become going in the direction of your goal, right? I got only a certain amount of time here on this earth, right? I got to follow the right plan to save me, a decade of pointless action of just running around in circles. Okay, I'm going to read this last paragraph. He said, the most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money, nor in any undertaking without plans which are practical and workable. Just keep this fact in mind and remember, when your plans fail, that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It may only mean that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans, start all over again. All right. So if you have experienced temporary defeat, that does not mean that you are a failure. Right. I'm going to read this quote and it's going to hurt me. But he says, when defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. If you give up before your goal has been reached, you are a quitter. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Lift this sentence out, write it on a piece of paper in letters an inch high, and place it where you will see it every night before you go to sleep and every morning before you go to work. All right. Now, what were we talking about, right? If you experience temporary defeat, you are not a failure until you quit. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is for me to hear to myself, right? It's not that I got to change the goal, right? You keep the goal the same. I just got to develop better plans to get me to the goal. Okay. And if I give up on the goal, then I'm a quitter. And that's when I officially experience failure. But if I don't give up on the goal, I just maybe adjust my plan or maybe replace it, take out a new plan, follow a new plan to get there, then and then eventually, I'm just destined to get there. So that's the conversation today. One last line. This is also interesting. He said, "Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound." That may seem to be an axiomatic statement, but it is true. All right. So, your achievement, right? The soundness of your plan is the level of achievement that you will reach. So, what is your plan? Do you have a plan written out? Do you know what you are going to give for your desire? Okay. And I'm gonna pause it right there. But that was some really interesting stuff. I found the idea of planning to be so critical to where what got me here today. And now it's like reading this again for the third time live. It's like, oh my God, how sound are my plans really? Because right now, I have a middle class plan. I got a job, like I'm a salesman and all, but at the end of the day, my plans are probably going to get me to the upper middle class. Okay, but I want to get rich. So what plans in place do I need to adjust, or where do I need to improve my plan so that I can get to a higher level of success? Okay? So I'll leave you all with that. I wanted to thank you for watching this episode today, and I'll leave it with this: until we meet again in time and space. Bye everybody for now. See you YouTube.